What if I told you that one of the absolute most relevant films to life today, especially in America, was sitting right under our nose this whole time? The film was pitched, it was coming from one of the most unlikely players in the Hollywood scene, a young man who is mostly known for his work in small theater and as a radio actor, who had managed to sign a contract with RKO. And despite them passing on the first two films that he pitched, they became intrigued by a third option that he put forward, one that would end up radically changing the game, not just for film, but honestly for haters everywhere, by setting a new standard of how you could use art as revenge to make a thinly veiled statement against your enemies and people who you felt were morally deprived and negatively impacting the world and society around you. Clue in, for those of you who went to film school, the film is Citizen Kane. It is a film that has gained a lot of controversy since day one, mostly because it has always been a thinly veiled attack on none other than William Randolph Hearst. William Randolph Hearst is a pretty easy character for most of us to understand. He was someone who sat at the top of an empire with more wealth than seemed imaginable at the time in his life, and whose personal life was full of so much controversy and upheaval and strange bizarreness that he was either a figure you deeply admired and aspired to be like, or someone who you considered to be soulless, who lived a life full of greed and not much else. Which is where the relevancy of Citizen Kane has always sat and continues to get more relevant with time. It shows us the flaws within the structural foundation of the American hierarchy of ascending the ladder and wealth and privilege, and who sits at the top of it, and the power that they gain and the sway that they have over people. And this film kind of brilliantly executed in a way that no one else had truly before, and the way that it took on the challenge of challenging us, the audience, through many of the choices made to stylize the film. The nonlinear setting, the camera choices, the inspiration that they pulled from in order to take European sensibilities, and controversial European sensibilities at that, to exploit American greed is fascinating. Those who have learned about it in film school, it is oftentimes a very simplified look at the film that brushes over the truly incredible merits of it, but also the truly sinister story at which it was trying to tell and trying to teach us to understand, the way that they pushed limits in order to get us to understand. And honestly, for modern audiences, it's not much unlike that of what we saw Kendrick Lamar pulling out all the stops for when he performed at the Super Bowl halftime show, to make it clear exactly what was happening with Not Like Us, and that he was not going to back down. No one involved in Citizen Kane was going to back down, despite the endless attacks from William Randolph Hearst and his empire, because they truly felt that they were on a moral mission, and a bit of a personal revenge mission, which honestly, that's what makes great beef and haters amazing. But for us as modern audiences, we can actually look at that film today and see the vast comparisons it has to where we sit in society right now, and the way that there seems to be this opposition between your average person who is striving to find their moral compass and the compass of achieving success, but not ending up as a William Randolph Hearst character or the modern equivalencies. And even the ways of the failed marriages, the disputes, all of it ends up coming together so beautifully with one of the most impactful endings in cinema, but unfortunately an ending that very few people have ever been able to sit back and have the ability to understand significance. While I see so many film teachers and educators trying very hard to summarize this film and make it one that audiences can understand both the past merit and the modern merit, there has not really been an opportunity to talk in depth about this film. And it's really sad, because for me, it is one of the juiciest, ripest bits of cinema making and history, and the endless everything about it makes sense of why, if you work in entertainment, it is a film that is endlessly fascinating, not just because of its brilliant execution, but because there's a story behind the story that is so good. There is a reason why not only did Orson Welles go on to have one of the most astounding careers in film history and work with some of the most brilliant minds and create truly revolutionary, memorable moments and scenes, such as his incredible one-take shot opening for A Touch of Evil, and films that, in my opinion, have aged beautifully as far as their craft and embracing mystery and genre, like The Third Man. He was not a great person like everybody. In these times, he was deeply problematic, and that is something that obviously should be included in all of these conversations, but not when on a platform like this. Because it's fascinating. But also Makowitz, who wrote this script, though obviously Orson Welles obviously trimmed, edited, and put his own personal touch on it, and people will dispute until the end of time who actually wrote Citizen Kane, if it was a co-write, on and on. It's never not fascinating to dive into this film, and I hope that it being black and white, that it being made at a different time with a different sentimentality as far as pacing and tension, doesn't dissuade you from observing one of the most fascinating films, or at least looking up the intentionality that went behind it and the moral statement that was made. Because as a filmmaker, it is inspiring to see someone who stood up and took guts and wanted to do something knowing the backlash that they would face, but also doing it anyway.